Hey, what's happening, guys? Good morning, everybody. You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels, and today is Thursday, March 16th, 2023. We got a ton of stuff to talk about today, a lot of interesting news. The Biden administration has said that TikTok needs to be sold or that they will likely wind up being banned here in the U.S. This is something that we've been predicting for months, that TikTok will be banned sometime in 2023. A YouTuber, not sure if any of you guys follow this guy, but a YouTuber by the name of Lord Miles. He does some awesome videos. If you want to check out his channel, check out the video where he went over and hung out and went shooting with the Taliban. Absolutely an insane video. But it's reported that he's actually missing over in Afghanistan. He went over to hang out and interview the Taliban again. And it's kind of a crazy story that the Taliban actually has a Twitter account, and they're kind of like live updating what's going on. Lord Miles is missing. Kind of a crazy story, but definitely check out his channel, and I'll kind of keep you guys updated on that story in the coming days. We're going to be talking about kind of all these bank collapses and everything going on. We're going to be talking about the real estate market, some cities that are I don't want to say likely, but potentially could see 30 to 40% falls off of peak prices. Probably won't be surprised by these cities like Boise, Dallas, Tampa, and others. And it's been reported that Hunter Biden received a bank wire from members of the Chinese Communist Party for, I believe it was $3 million, and then he began dispersing that money to the rest of the family. Now, all good cons, all good scams have to have a fall guy, and if you're looking for a fall guy, who makes a better fall guy than a crackhead? So we'll be talking about that story a little bit as well. I apologize that the sound is a little bit low. I forgot to bring my headphones with the microphone that I normally use to make these videos. So sometimes the sound may be a little bit quiet. If that's the case, crank up the volume. I apologize for that, but sound will be back good tomorrow. And I apologize, today's video is going to be a little bit rushed. I've had a little bit of a crazy day, feeling a little bit under the weather. I woke up this morning, I had a real bad eye infection. When I was looking for my insurance card, I happened to find a bill. And like 2 years ago, I went to an urgent care clinic because I had a little bit of an eye infection. And I guess they tried to bill my insurance $7,000. I went in there. They had me do one of those eye tests where you look at the letters on the wall. I was probably with them for about 15 minutes. They prescribed me an eye drop that I didn't even wind up filling. And somehow they're trying to charge me $7,000. So it kind of shows what a scam our medical system is. The only thing I ever really go to the doctor for is either if it involves my dick or my eyes. Outside of that, I feel like, and I think I'm pretty good at kind of curing things on my own. But if any of you guys have a good home remedy for an eye infection, let me know. I was going to try some salt water in my eye and maybe a bag of like a chamomile tea bag. So we'll see how that winds up working out. And then before we hop in, a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, sporestore.com. We mentioned them the other day. Sporestore.com, link in the description box below. They sell mushroom spores. So if you're looking to get into growing pink oyster mushrooms or morel mushrooms, they sell spores and also mushroom growing supplies for that. And if you are into microscopy, studying mushroom spores under a microscope, they even have psilocybin mushroom spores that you can study under a microscope. They offer a guarantee on their product, fast shipping, and one neat thing about them, they do accept credit cards, but they also accept Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Monero. So I will link to them in the description box below. Check them out. Cool site. So without further ado, let's get into today's news. So I think probably one of the biggest stories of today is going to be the Biden administration saying that TikTok must be sold. Obviously, TikTok has a Chinese parent company. It's been reported, and I think it's pretty much clear to everybody that the Chinese Communist Party can spy on Americans' data. And you guys may remember or may have seen the Joe Rogan episode where he actually read the TikTok terms and conditions. I mean, they can track everything on your phone, everything on your screen. They know your passwords. They know your location. I don't think anybody should be giving this type of data up to TikTok, but especially if you are involved in crypto or do any banking or financial transactions on your phone, I definitely would not have TikTok on your phone. We've been predicting for months that TikTok will be banned sometime in 2023. I think it's almost certain that's going to happen. Over 25 states have banned TikTok on government devices. Recently, the most recent one was the state of Michigan, although Gretchen Whitmer, the governor, exempted herself from this ban, which is kind of interesting. But this is the strongest talk and kind of the most sweeping talk of banning TikTok that we've heard. The Biden administration was a little bit weak in that they say if you don't sell it, you could face a ban. I think it probably would have been stronger to say you either sell it or it's going to be banned in the U.S. Apparently, Snapchat stock surged on this news yesterday, and overall, I think that would be good for all of the social media platforms, pretty much across the board, Facebook, Instagram, all the social media platforms. The levels of use, the amount of time, the amount of visitors, of people spending time on these platforms has gone down ever since TikTok has surged in popularity. We kind of touched on this in the lead up to the video, but Lord Miles, awesome YouTube channel. I'll try to remember to link to either his YouTube channel or probably the specific Taliban video below. He does a lot of crazy stuff. He crosses borders illegally. Recently, he was down in Brazil at Snake Island, an island that's illegal to visit. There's snakes all over the place. A lot of people have been killed by snakes over there. And probably his craziest video, and the one that kind of got him the most notoriety, is when he went to Afghanistan and hung out with the Taliban. He actually went out to the desert and went shooting with them. And it was a hilarious video because the Taliban, there's like 3-4 Taliban guys sitting back watching him fire an AK-47. And he fires off a burst of shots, and then he turns around and is laughing and is like, pumping the gun in the air. Any of you guys who are around guns know about guns. You don't sweep your barrel across people. So Lord Miles, definitely poor gun safety, but like as he's laughing and swiveling around to kind of get the approval of the Taliban, you can see even the Taliban is freaked out by how he's handling this AK, because nobody wants to be obviously swept with the barrel of a loaded gun, especially by somebody who doesn't seem to know how to handle guns. In some of his other videos, I've seen him drinking water out of streams, something that is probably pretty likely to give you giardia or something like that. So really crazy guy, no fear, entertaining channel, not at all politically correct. And I'm surprised he's not bigger. I think he's only got like 50-something thousand subscribers, but awesome channel. Apparently he's gone missing in Afghanistan. He went over to hang out with the Taliban and make some more videos. He's actually from the UK, and the Taliban's Twitter account has been reported that he's missing and hasn't been seen since March 6th or March 8th. A lot of people on Twitter talking about where is he, what's happening with him, hoping that he's found, etc. But kind of a crazy story there. If you guys follow his YouTube channel, I thought you might find that interesting. Let's see, just kind of quickly going through the notes here. Notes might be a little bit scrambled. Markets don't care about anything but what the Fed is going to do next. We have a banking collapse happening. There's potentially going to be runs on the bank. But, the government has apparently thrown the $250K FDIC insurance out the window, has basically guaranteed to backstop bank accounts to any amount. And believe you me, this would not have happened if this was some small community bank or regional bank in Iowa or Nebraska or Alabama or Mississippi. But when it's Silicon Valley Bank, Gavin Newsom was lobbying for Silicon Valley Bank to be bailed out. Why? Because all 3 of his wineries have all of his money in there. His wife's charity has the money in there. Gavin Newsom is a potential future presidential candidate for 2024. You also have people like Oprah who had money in there. A lot of tech companies, obviously tech companies donate a lot of money to politicians, specifically Democrat politicians. So the idea that they wouldn't be rescued is kind of silly. Again, if this were any other bank, they may or may not have been rescued. But with it being Silicon Valley Bank and the people who had accounts there in the tech companies, of course they were going to run in and rescue them. A lot of people are acting like, looks like close call, but looks like we're fine. I think this is potentially just the tip of the iceberg. There's also so many potential black swan events out there. A war with Russia, a war with China, further banking collapses, a run on the bank, maybe a pandemic resurfaces. There's so many potential black swans out there in addition to kind of all the chaos and everything going on already. It was reported that not only did the CEO and a lot of other executives at Silicon Valley Bank pull money out before the collapse, a bunch of Israeli bankers took over $1 billion out of the bank right before the collapse. Kanye would be going nuts if he knew about this. Gavin Newsom, who had appealed for, as well, already kind of touched on this, Gavin Newsom, who appealed for the buyout, had 3 of his wineries and his wife's charity money there. I didn't have too much more to say about the bank collapse, but one thing I think it is worth mentioning, I just recently heard that I believe it was Silvergate Bank the FDIC has banned them from dealing with crypto companies. So I believe Circle was banking with them. A lot of these crypto lending platforms, a lot of these stablecoin projects were all banking with Silvergate. It's been getting tougher and tougher for crypto companies and crypto projects to get bank accounts, and it's going to be even worse since now the quote-unquote crypto bank is no longer allowed to bank crypto companies. And we had talked about this in yesterday's video. The 3 banks shut down. 2 of them were essentially kind of referred to as crypto banks, and even Silicon Valley Bank, well, they weren't necessarily a crypto bank. They had lent a lot of money to crypto companies, leading a lot of people to kind of view this as an attack on crypto. Kind of 2 narratives forming. One narrative is that crypto caused the collapse, or at least was partially responsible for it. The other narrative being that this was just an attack on crypto. Let's talk about real estate a little bit. So some markets could potentially crash 30 to 40%, even down from where we are now. There are a lot of homes out there in a lot of different markets selling for over $400,000 that really should have a fair market value of as low as like $260,000, $275,000. We're likely in the first year of a multi-year housing crash. Personally, I see it probably lasting through 2025. Real estate is still priced as if we had 3% interest rates. We've talked about this numerous times. You can have high interest rates or you can have high prices, but you really can't have both at the same time. And when we look at a city like Tampa, Florida, which has really surged over the past couple of years, the average salary is only $64,000, but the average home price is almost $400,000 a year, right? This just doesn't really jive. We're going to run through a few of the cities that may see these gigantic crashes of 30 to 40%. Although the one thing kind of propping up the market right now is the fact that there's next to no inventory. Most people don't want to give up their low interest rates on their mortgages. Most people don't, the reason most people buy a home besides divorce or moving for a job is they want to upsize. They want to get into a bigger home, a better home, a home in a nicer area. And when mortgage rates are through the roof, when home prices have surged over the past couple of years, you're going to be paying substantially more to likely not even upsize, just get into an equal home of what you have already. So a lot of people are staying in place, and that's kind of stabilizing prices right now. Is just that nobody is buying or selling. San Francisco is a much less desirable place to live than it was in the past. They have huge crime problems. Crime is through the roof. We've talked about this too. But people literally leave their trunks open and leave their car windows down so that somebody doesn't smash out their window looking for change. Also, this is kind of a whole separate issue. Maybe we'll talk about this on another video. But I believe there is a tech salary bubble. So over in Europe and other parts of the world, tech workers, they're paid well, but they're not paid nearly as crazy as here in the U.S. People aren't making $300,000 a year, $500,000 a year, $700,000 a year in Europe and the UK. And I think we've seen the tech salary bubble pop, right? Facebook just announced the other day they're laying off another 10,000 employees on top of the 11,000 they've already laid off. Amazon has laid off tens of thousands of employees. Social media companies, tech companies are laying people off. Yeah, they hired too many people. A lot of these companies were hoarding employees or were hiring employees only so that the competition could not hire employees. But I think I think we have kind of a bubble in tech salaries. I don't think that's coming back, and I think that will further drag the price or the further drag down salaries in San Francisco and other cities, which will hurt home affordability and bring down home prices. Boise, Idaho, it's a beautiful area, but not sure how home prices surge so crazy. There's not a ton of jobs out there. It was basically a lot of people moving from California due to remote work, a lot of people with high salaries who were able to kind of boost up the Boise real estate prices. But with people returning to the office, as well as with people who maybe moved to Boise and other areas of the country from Seattle or San Francisco, realizing that maybe they don't like their quality of life out there. Maybe that's not really their cup of tea. A lot of those people are moving out, and I think we're going to see home prices come down in Boise, Idaho. Dallas has high property taxes. The average property tax in Dallas is $10,000. This is a city that does have good jobs and good industry, but I just don't think it can support these high housing prices. Tampa, Florida has held up well. It's an awesome city. I think a lot of people who previously kind of looked down upon Florida see Florida as a much more desirable place to live, especially seeing how they handled the Mexican beer cough when a lot of other cities and states were clamping down and stopping people's lives. Everything kind of continued going on as normal in Florida. But again, the average salary in Tampa, Florida is over only $64,000, whereas the average home price is closer to $400,000. And it's just really not sustainable. Also, if we look at the number of listings, last year in 2022, on average, there would be about 3,000 listings at a time in Tampa, Florida. Right now, it's over 9,000. I think it may even be over 10,000. So there's a lot more inventory down there. Jacksonville, Florida, I don't know too much about the city. I'd always kind of viewed it as kind of a dumpy city, but a lot of investors poured into Jacksonville, Florida, and Florida as a whole saw a surge in interest, but their rental market is struggling, and a lot of investors are looking to get out. Phoenix, Arizona, home builders overbuilt. From the time you get the contracts and the permits to break ground, it can sometimes be 2 to 3 years before a home is built. Home builders went crazy. There's going to be a lot of inventory coming out of the market at a time when there's not a lot of interest in buying, and that likely will drag down home prices as well. My man Coco Media can probably comment on this, but Utah saw a lot of the same growth as Phoenix and a lot of Arizona, especially Salt Lake City, Utah, as well as Provo, Utah. At peak, they had over 12,000 permits, which is higher than the early to mid 2000s. And Provo had the same thing. The number of permits being pulled over the past couple years is double what it was back in 2006. And then Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a city of boom and bust. They've had a lot of real estate surges and a lot of real estate crashes. Tons of building going on there. A lot of people say Las Vegas right now is about 26% overvalued. In a recession, people aren't going to be heading out to Las Vegas. And in Las Vegas, even people who work in the service sector, cocktail waitresses, casino dealers, they tend to have very high salaries, oftentimes into the six figures. And if people aren't traveling to Vegas for vacation, they're likely not spending money at casinos, and they will see layoffs as well. I probably only got about 4 minutes here, so let's kind of start blowing through here. Again, Hunter Biden allegedly got a $3 million wire from members of the CCP after Biden got out of the White House as vice president. It's looking like Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and the Biden family have basically done everything that they accused Donald Trump of doing. After getting the $3 million wire, Hunter Biden began dispersing money to the rest of the Biden family. And we all know about the 10% for the big guy. Did Biden get some of that money? We'll see if this story winds up getting swept under the rug or whether it winds up exploding. We got Credit Suisse. Credit Suisse, a lot of people have been expecting them to go under for months. It basically came out yesterday. They were insolvent. They were going to crash. Their largest investor, the Saudi National Bank, has said there are over 6 reasons why they won't invest more money into Credit Suisse. One of them, and the main one, being that I believe they're already a 10% or 11% investor in the bank. And if they go over that, there's all types of other regulatory and reporting requirements that they don't want to deal with. But they're not going to be getting any money from the Saudi National Bank. Apparently, the Swiss National Bank stepped in and made comments that they will back the bank. Carl Icahn warns that the U.S. economy is breaking down. And here's something interesting, right? We've kind of teased this story in the past couple days, but a Democrat senator from Arizona by the name of Senator Mark Kelly wanted to censor and shut down people's ability to question the solvency of banks on social media. And I saw kind of a funny tweet about this. Somebody said, I think he had tweeted something to the effect of, you shouldn't be able to question the solvency of banks the same way that you shouldn't be able to yell fire in a crowded theater. And somebody tweeted back, should you be able to yell fire in a theater that's on fire? Kind of making a joke that, the banks are insolvent, so is it really wrong to call the banks insolvent? In a Zoom call this week with a couple hundred participants, Kelly asked representatives from the Federal Reserve, Treasury Department, and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation about censoring social media to remove those raising doubts over bank solvency in the wake of the Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank crises. Representative Thomas Massey, Republican from Kentucky, confirmed Kelly's suggestion that the government should work with social media companies to censor information that could lead to a run on banks. And then just kind of last story, this one's not that interesting, but Virgin Orbit, which is Richard Branson's Virgin space program, has paused due to a lack of funding. So sorry guys, today's video was put together a little bit hastily, but a lot of interesting stories to talk about. I would love to hear your thoughts, comments, and opinions on anything we've discussed today. Check out the sponsor of today's video, the Spore Store, link in the description box below. And if you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to get more daily videos with updates of the goings on in the economy, business, and just the world overall, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below and ring the bell. As always, guys, appreciate you watching. We'll catch you on tomorrow's video, guys. Later. Peace.